invited those who made donations to the collections over the past 12 months to join us in this celebration of art produced in the West Midlands region. To those of you who managed to come this evening, I know some of you have come from quite a distance, we'd like to thank you for your generosity and for entrusting those things that you have treasured to our care for the benefit of future generations. We've prepared a case just at the bottom of the stairs there that show you some of the things that have been given to us over the year, and there are some further works of art on display in the Trace exhibition that I hope you'll take time to go and have a look at. Thank you. Also with us tonight are the team from solicitors FBC Manby Bowdler, who are sponsoring the Contemporary Gallery programme over the next 3 years, and we look forward to working with you on this programme. We offer all of you the warmest of Wolverhampton welcome. Tonight we celebrate art in the West Midlands. The West Midlands Open biennial is a partnership with Birmingham Museum Trust. And I always find open shows throughout my career, which has now gone on for quite a long time, to be one of those highlights of the exhibition programme, because you can never quite tell what's going to turn up. And with your selectors being different on every occasion, there's always something new and original that comes through in open shows. And this year we had 169 works submitted, of which 30 were actually selected for the show. The selection this year was made by a distinguished panel of judges, to whom we're especially grateful for the time they've given and the thoughtfulness with which they've made their deliberations. The panel this year consisted of Professor Drew Harrison, who is Associate Dean Research and Postgraduate Studies at the University of Wolverhampton, Caroline Douglas, Head of the Arts Council Collections, and Professor David Rayson, who's Professor and Head of Painting at the Royal College of Art. As many of our regular visitors will know, David's painting Griffiths Drive was acquired for the collection in 2000. And I have a little personal anecdote at this point, because when I was still a senior curator at Leeds City Art Gallery, I went down to an exhibition and I saw this painting and I thought, I want that painting for Leeds. But somebody had bought it before me. And then I arrived in Wolverhampton and guess what? It was here. So I have a very personal attachment to that painting. David was born in Wolverhampton and grew up in Ashmore Park, and the suburban landscape of Wolverhampton was the subject of some of his earlier work. We're delighted to invite you back to Wolverhampton, and he has agreed to say a few words about this year's Open. So over to Professor Rayson.
Hello everyone, thanks for coming along tonight. Typically what I do is I conscientiously write my talk out and then completely forget to read my notes while I'm giving the talk, because I tend to get carried away. But I mustn't do that. Before I get carried away, I must thank a few people. But most of the people I want to thank are the artists for submitting their work. The reason why I agreed to do this, and come back to Wolverhampton, is to see what was happening locally in the area, with young artists and sort of middle career artists making work right here, right in this area. There are some big studios here I know, like White Tree Studios, the Makers Dozen Studios, Eagle Works and Wolverhampton Society of Artists, who've organised themselves and organised exhibitions, as well as supporting each other with space, which is fantastic. I'd also like to thank the technicians, and this is really pointed this evening, because I was hanging a show last week in London, and my technicians were both ill on the same day at the same time, and I almost went into meltdown, I tell you. I'm quite a calm person, but I wasn't calm on those days. And so I'd like to thank Catherine Weymouth, Mark Bidolph, and Julie Fletcher, if they're here tonight. Thank you very much. Marguerite told us we could select out of the applications, not worrying about the complexities of the hang or the install, because the technicians would be able to handle it. So that gave us free rein in terms of what we could select, which is fantastic. So thank you to all the technicians that own the show. I'm going to keep this short and snappy so you can see more of the work. But it's curious growing up in Wolverhampton, because my art education really came from images. It came from looking at books, encyclopedias and painting. And this selection was also through JPEGs. It was looking at the image of work. And so a real surprise for me tonight is to see the works in the flesh, if you like. And there have been some real surprises in terms of their scale or their sense of surface. But also in terms of an artist's education growing up, looking at reproductions of art, and then your education grows further when you get to encounter the actual objects, the actual surface of things. And that kind of learning never stops. And so there's a seduction, if you like, of the image, or the icon, but then there's another sort of level of education in terms of how it was made and the authorship of the surface. So the education in terms of working directly with artworks never stops. The other big factor, I think, in terms of growing up in Wolverhampton was I was very lucky in having a great art teacher and a fantastic art room. And comprehensive schools in Wolverhampton can be quite tough at the best of times. But most of the ones I visited and the ones I grew up in, the art room was always the place to be. It had weird stuff in, like jars full of ball bearings and old kettles you could draw your reflection from. That was the place to be for me. So a big part of my art education in Wolverhampton was the art room. So if there's teachers here or people working with young people, that's a real lifeline for our future artists. I'm not reading my notes, I'm just turning papers so that you feel as if I'm getting towards the end. The other thing I want to talk about as well is a complex kind of relationship, and I could go on for hours about this, but I'm not going to, is that weird relationship, or that very complex relationship from audience to artist. Because all good artists are their own audience as well. And it gets complex because the audience on your shoulder as an artist can sometimes stop you making decisions. It can stop you being silly. It can stop you being too ambitious. It can rein you in. And when artists come to shows like this, it's a chance for them to see artists in terms of how they've talked their audience on their shoulder. That notion of self-censorship, if you like, or trying to make work that's still quite private, it's in your studio, but artists that are making work with a notion that this might go out into the world. It's a really fragile relationship. And all the art you see here this evening has gone through that process of the adventure of making art, but also the accountancy of thinking, is this good? Will this be accepted? Is it too provocative? Is it beautiful enough? Is it ugly enough? And those kind of conversations in really good art you can witness when you see the art object. I'm going to stop there because this is my kind of sugar grain, if you like. I could talk about the whole relationship to the cause and effect of making art. But the real privilege for us tonight is we're all audience, including the artists that have furnished us with amazing works. So as audience, enjoy the show. And if any of the artists are here this evening and would like to chat, those are the artists that got in the show and the ones that didn't. I'm here for a chat. Have a really nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Isn't it lovely to have somebody from Wolverhampton come and talk to us like that? I just thought that was inspiring. Thank you so much. Thank you also to the artists who've come tonight to see their works, if they've been fortunate enough to get in, and those who were brave enough to come and still bore us goodwill, who perhaps didn't get in on this occasion. I'd also like to welcome the other members of the artist community who this afternoon have been meeting as part of an event organised by Turning Point West Midlands. I myself was able to listen to some of the discussions that took place and hear about some of the fantastic artist-led projects in the region. And I would urge anybody who's interested in what's happening in the artist community to take a look at the Turning Point West Midlands website and find out what's happening, because there is a lot out there. And now we come to the point of the evening when I'm sure artists who have submitted works and been selected have been eagerly waiting for the prize giving this evening. The judges for this year's open show were Lisa Beauchamp, Contemporary Art Curator at Birmingham Museums Trust, and Stephen Parisienne, the Director of Compton Fernie. And the first prize this evening, for the work on art on paper for £250, is sponsored by Phil Lynch Illustration, and the prize will be presented by Phil Lynch, if you'd like to come forward. Phil is a Wolverhampton-based illustrator, involved in street art since the mid-80s and has created mural pieces for schools, youth clubs, nightclubs and fairgrounds. He became a children's book illustrator in 2005. The prize for work of art on paper goes to Nicholas de Serra for A Common Cause.
He's coming.
Next we have the Time-Based Media Prize of £250, sponsored by Wolverhampton University's School of Art and Design. And to present it this evening is Dr. Bryony Conway, the Dean of the School of Art and Design. The prize has been awarded to Lisa Roffey for her work Face Full of Fumes, and the judges have also recommended that she be given a special commendation for this work. The 3D Sculpture Prize of £250 has been sponsored by Venture Holdings. The company aren't able to be here tonight, but it is a private property investment and development company established in 1999. They acquire old buildings in Wolverhampton and the Birmingham area and refurbish them to a high standard. So the prize goes to Bernadette Kerrigan for her works 2 Milli Copies and the Spinney. The Photography Prize of £250 has been sponsored by Ink Express, and here to present the prize is Christian Collins. Wolverhampton-based ink and media supplier has been running for more than 12 years. Ink Express supports local photographers to ensure that they get the best quality prints and sponsors Cannock Photographic Society member John Cartledge. And the winner of the prize is Paul Newman for Last Day. The Painting Prize of £250 is sponsored by the Grand Theatre, who unfortunately aren't able to be here tonight. Grand Theatre opened in 1894 and has seen upon its stage the likes of Charlie Chaplin, Sir Henry Irving, Winston Churchill and David Lloyd George. The prize has been awarded to Reuben Coley for Light at the End of the Tunnel. Finally, the Persimmon Best in Show Prize for £1,000, which is sponsored by Persimmon Homes West Midlands, will be presented by Stephen Hurd, Managing Director. Persimmon Homes was founded in 1972 and builds around 10,000 beautifully designed new homes every year in more than 400 prime locations nationwide. under the Persimmon, Charles Church and Westbury brands. The West Midlands Regional Business is based in Wolverhampton and operates new home developments across Shropshire, Staffordshire, Birmingham and the Black Country. The Persimmon Best in Show Prize has been awarded to Jasna Patak for her work House 1, 2 and 3. Congratulations to all the winners, and we'd like to thank all our sponsors, of course, for supporting regional artists in this way. Persimmon Homes, West Midlands, Wolverhampton University, Ink Express, Venture Holdings, Wolverhampton Grand Theatre and Phil Lynch Illustration. So we hope you enjoy the rest of this evening, and we've got a veritable feast of arts on offer tonight. We've got the opening night of Luke Fowler's new film, The Poor Stockinger, The Luddite Cropper and the Deluded Followers of Joanna Southcott. This is a work that we commissioned jointly with the Hepworth, Wakefield and Film and Video umbrella, following the success of winning the Contemporary Art Society Commission to Collect Award. This is a £60,000 prize which enables galleries to commission work to become part of the permanent collection. We're particularly delighted to be showing Luke Fowler's work at this time because some of you may know that he's been nominated for the Turner Prize, which will be announced on the 3rd of December. We're holding a fundraising Turner Prize party on the 3rd of December, so you can hear it here first in the company of fellow guests. So we've got our fingers crossed for that. It's also your last chance to see the powerful paintings of Sally Payne, which are on show upstairs. Sally's paintings are a reflection on the riots in Wolverhampton 1 year on. October is Black History Month, and we have a community curated show in our higher space in the front of the gallery. The exhibition shows the work from Holy Rosary Primary School in Wolverhampton, who worked with artist Caroline Girala, inspired by art of African artist Al-Anatoussi. Poetry readings will take place in the Traced exhibition, where we're launching We're All in This Together, an anthology of poetry on the theme of ecology by Simon Fletcher, published by Offers Press. This evening, studio holders at Maker's Dozen, which can be approached through the doors at the far end of the atrium, have opened their studios and will be available to talk to people about their work. And further, there are going to be tours of the studio spaces in Wolverhampton on the 20th of October and the 10th of November. Those will all start from the art gallery at 2 p.m. Finally, I'd like to thank the curatorial and technical teams. As ever, they've done a great job. But on this occasion, I'd like to especially mention to you the volunteers Stephanie Merritt and Emma Peterson for their hard work in administering the opening show. We would not have been able to cope with the administrative aspects of the show without their help. And to conclude this evening's speeches, I'd like to single out a member of my staff, Sut Kumar Pal, who has been a quiet and steady member of our front of house team for a very long time. In fact, this year, Sut has completed 25 years of service with Wolverhampton City Council. So Sut, I know you're normally very shy and retiring, but if you could make it out here, we do have a little gifty for you. This evening. David's made a very kind offer to speak to any artists who want to talk to him in the course of the evening, but please enjoy what we have on offer. Thank you.